Alberta Premier Daniel Smith and MLA Garth Rosewell held a fundraising luncheon this past weekend in Lloydminster. They addressed the January 12th power problems, green energy, parenting rights, and pensions. Reporters were not permitted at the event, but Danielle Smith said in a provided quote to the media, "I can tell you Alberta is leading and we must continue to lead. We have to be that shining city on a hill, that land of promise that the best and brightest Canadians and people around the world will say, there is a land of opportunity that my family and I want to make home." The Rotary Club of Lloydminster held their weekly meeting this morning, hosting staff and students from the Avery School as they gave some insight on their education and the scholarships that the Rotary Club funds. The principal of the school,
So every year gives us a scholarship for students, and last year we changed it up. Rather than just giving one scholarship to a college student, we broke it down so we pick some students, or they apply. They'll do a first aid course, food safety, some tickets they need for employment opportunities. So
Murray's explained that not only can this better help their students at landing jobs, whether it's before or after graduation, but it also gives them insight as to how many workplaces operate.
Well, for these students, it gives them a good opportunity for pre-employment stuff, right? Just for resume building, get skills. In the past, it was nice for college students getting a $1,000 scholarship to go to school, of course, right? So.
While usually the classes closer to graduation receive the award, many students can be selected or apply to the scholarship if they're interested in building any extracurricular skills or gaining knowledge in the workplace.
It's a pretty low-key process. A lot of it is based on conversation throughout the school, because we're a smaller school, family-like. We get to know when students are looking for employment or in need of employment, and if there is a gap that we can bridge with offering services through tickets, then we want to bolster their resume.
The Avery Outreach School offers an alternate education center for students in grades 10 to 12 and provides students with a safe, positive, and diverse learning experience. The Lloydminster Museum and Archives unveiled a new exhibit that showcases Indigenous culture through different art pieces. Our Abby St. John has more on the grand opening and how it is a learning experience for the community.
Over the weekend, the Lloydminster Museum and Archives held a grand opening for its newest exhibit, Powwow Ochuan, The Origins. Patrick and Marissa Mitsuing travel around Saskatchewan to different schools to teach about the traditional powwow. They curated this exhibit as a way for more people to come to them to learn about the culture.
And the idea came for us to think about a way, how could they come to us instead of us being so busy going everywhere? And so when I was scrolling one day on Facebook, I seen a call for submissions for a museum, and I thought, man, that would be a great idea to curate an exhibit where we could get a lot of people coming to us.
It provides a lot of educational opportunities for the Lloydminster community, just to be able to kind of see something that they're not familiar with, understand Indigenous kind of styles of dance. I know we have representations from 7 different forms of dance and regalia to go with that, and it's just a great learning opportunity if you're not experienced with Indigenous culture.
A lot of work went into making sure the exhibit showcased different aspects of Indigenous culture from across North America, including over 14 artists in the exhibit.
Putting that all together where everybody's working cohesively, and then at the same time, we're making sure we're doing the correct things in terms of garnering that knowledge. And so each dance style comes from a certain area of North America. And so it was our responsibility to either go to that area or find a person from that area to get the stories of each dance style.
There are two parts behind the meaning of this exhibit. The first one is creating a platform for the next generation of Indigenous people and to inspire and motivate them.
Indigenous people are starting to take up spaces everywhere, and we had Lily Gladstone, win an award in the cinema world, and when our kids and our youth, they see themselves in spaces that they never see themselves, they start dreaming, and that has always been a part of my heart, is to think of the generations coming up, that it's a lot safer for them and they feel a lot more confident being who they are, being Indigenous.
The second part is education through truth and reconciliation and the 94 calls to action. This exhibit gives people the opportunity to learn more about a culture that is a vital part of Canadian history.
This is part of it. This is those steps. This is reconciliation, and this is the city itself of Lloyd saying, let's have an Indigenous exhibit instead of all the other exhibits that come through year after year. This is a way for them to learn about Indigenous history, Indigenous culture, and to almost force themselves to partner with Indigenous people.
This exhibit is on now until April 20th. Abby St. John, Primetime Local News.
The Lloyd exhibition Chase the Ace winner has been revealed. The ace was found at the Lloyd X, with Carla Markovich, a rancher from the area, taking home the big prize. She picked up her check today worth over $85,000.
I've been buying since it's first started.
Oh, since the very first round?
Yep.
Wow.
Me and my dad, actually.
Carla's support of the Lloyd X, as well as support from the rest of the community, does not go unnoticed.
Thank you. It is such a great fundraiser for our association. When our board member Ray Foy brought this to the association and we developed this program, it has helped us just tremendously to make the renos and the upgrades and keep this facility in a top-notch, world-class facility like it is, and service Lloydminster like we do. So we can't thank everyone enough for their weekly purchases. You have way better chance at winning this than the 649, and it can go in any week.
If you'd like to participate, you can purchase tickets online at thelloydx.com or by stopping by their main office. It's time now for This Week in Retrospect. Here's Callum Hawker.
We take it back to January of 1995 as the Alberta Cattle Association and farmers feel a government subsidy won't help them in exporting beef.
The latest edition of the Western Producer has an article about this very controversial issue. It says that the Alberta Cattle Commission believes a whole farm safety net program would hurt business to the United States, our biggest trading partner. Local spokesperson Blake Cherry agrees.
A large part of our market, that being about 42% of our cattle, are exported into the United States. We're constantly under the microscope from the people in the United States, and they're our customer. We're concerned with their concerns. So that's, for the most part, I don't see it as being a plus.
And Cherry says it's not just this subsidy plan that he has a problem with.
Subsidies in general never do an industry much of any good. We end up paying for them. Myself, as a smaller farmer, I'm borrowing money to operate every day, and every subsidy is factored into my operating costs. I am having to borrow money to pay for this subsidy, and that really bothers me.
Besides the Alberta Cattle Commission and the Canadian Cattlemen's Association, the Alberta Cattle Feeders and the Western Stock Growers have all rejected the idea of a whole farm safety net program. But one group, the Cow-Calf Association, has a different opinion.
We're not saying yes or no. We have to have a chance for the ministers to put it forward to us. We have to, the public has to have a look at it, and not some association or commission running off and doing their own thing and saying, yes, the cattle industry doesn't need this. It's very, very serious policy. We have to look at it.
So far, the prairie provinces are still discussing the issue with the federal government. No deadline for a decision has been set.
And in 1999, we take it back to January 26th as Lloydminster looks for a new city council.
I believe council is at a point where experience is important.
Experience is nothing new to Ken Baker. The Lloydminster resident of 33 years held a position on council back in '94. He left to run for the mayor's chair, however, ended up losing a close race. But Baker is back and looking to make a difference.
The infrastructure within our city, the sewer and the water, the roads, fire protection, police protection, those important parts of our community must be maintained and certainly upgraded and kept up with the times.
I want to serve the community better on a different level.
Enter Ken Gillis. The BC native has called Lloydminster home since 1988. He has done countless hours of work for the United Way and for tourism in Lloydminster. After years of service with IBM and owning his own computer company, this candidate feels he has a lot to offer.
As a team builder and a team player, I think I bring those qualities to council. I believe doing the legwork, investigating the issues thoroughly, taking the time. I do have the time to do that now. Through early retirement, you see, I do have the ability to get out there and touch base with people.
I think you're choosing prime, commercial, expensive land to build.
One of the issues that's been hanging over city officials is where to put the new city hall. It's been a sore spot with many downtown businesses for some time. So, what do the candidates think?
We certainly need a new city hall, and it's got to really be investigated and really checked out first before we build it, where it should be built and what design it should be. I think that's really important.
If you move an asset like City Hall to a different location, be it a little east or a little south or wherever the best location is, it does leave, in effect, a void in our community in probably an area that does need more support.
Both Ken and Ken will be campaigning their platforms further this Thursday at Lakeland College as they will talk with students. It will be a chance for both to get their say in before February 10th.
We enjoyed a good life here and have enjoyed a good life here, and our family grew up here, and I think it's important that people give something back to the community, and I think this is one way you can do it.
I also feel like I can make the tough decision when necessary, and I feel strongly that I bring a lot to offer to council in a different approach than perhaps what's there now.
Brian Mudrick, NewsHour.
And that's all we have for this week in Retrospect.
Retrospect is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Find New Holland products at Webb's Machinery, your dealer in Vermilion, Vegreville, Lamont, Wainwright, St. Paul, and Consulate.
Abby St. John joins me now to have a look at the weather forecast. And Abby, it's pretty messy out there and really, really warm.
Yes.
So what are we looking forward to?
Yes, well, we're going to continue looking forward to some warm-ish weather for this time of year. Of course, we are in the positives. However, with that comes we're going to hit the negatives when we go overnight. So everything that melts during the day is going to refreeze at night, and it's kind of just create a cycle of melting, freezing, melting, freezing, melting, freezing. But I mean, it's still warm temperatures. It's still warm conditions throughout the day, which is always something to look forward to. It's very nice. It's +3 here. It feels closer to -2 with that wind chill, but I mean, that's pretty good for this time of year, especially a little cloudy conditions throughout today, but over the weekend we saw very nice weather, very nice conditions out, so it was a very nice weekend. Wind speeds at 24 kilometers per hour, so it's a little bit on the breezy side. Current temperatures across Alberta similar to here, in around that same temperature. 3 degrees out in Provost, Vermilion, St. Paul, and Marwayne. 5 in Wainwright and Edmonton, Lac-La-Biche, and in Bonnyville. 2 out in Vegreville, and 4 out in Cold Lake. On the Saskatchewan side, also similar temperatures. 5 in Isle Cross and Green Lake. 3 in Pierceland, St. Walburg, and Maidstone, 7 out in Meadow Lake, and 2 out in Macklin and North Battleford. Overnight tonight in North Battleford will drop down to just -3, partially cloudy skies, and wind should be quite calm at 7 kilometers per hour. So it's going to be a very nice evening out tonight. And then tomorrow, mild at times, daytime
high of +7, which is going to be very nice. It may feel a little bit cooler with that wind chill, wind speeds at 13 kilometers per hour, and it will be a mix of sun and cloud throughout the day, so there will be periods of nice sunshine. Overnight tonight in Cold Lake will drop down to -4, partially cloudy skies as well, 9-kilometer-per-hour wind, so it's going to be a fairly calm evening out. And then tomorrow, daytime high of +10, so that's pretty awesome. For tomorrow, 17-kilometer-per-hour wind, so it's going to feel a little bit cooler than that, but it's still nice to be plus double digits. Mix of sun and cloud as well, so there's going to be some periods of sun throughout the day. In Lloydminster, we'll drop down to just -1, partially cloudy skies, and that wind will slow down just a tad to 17 kilometers per hour. And then tomorrow, to break down the day, expect a cloudy day tomorrow, +3 at around 6 a.m., partially cloudy, 19-kilometer-per-hour winds. That speeds up, however, to midday. It will be around 28 kilometers per hour with a high of 7, cloudy skies. And then it'll start to get a little hazy in the evening around 6 p.m. It'll also still be around 7 degrees, 22-kilometer-per-hour winds, and at midnight it should be clear at +2 with 24-kilometer-per-hour winds, so it's going to be quite windy overnight and into tomorrow. Over the next 3 days, like I said, tomorrow we have a daytime high of +10 and a low of -4. On Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud, but mostly sunny with a high of 5 and a low of -2. A high of 5 also out on Thursday, and a very sunny day with a low of -4. However, it is going to be quite windy out. But as a first look at your evening weather forecast, I'll have more overnight temperatures later on in the show.
The 2024 Saskatchewan Summer Games will be coming to Lloydminster July 21st to the 27th. Today, a big sponsorship announcement was made to help the Games be a huge success.
Synergy Credit Union announced that they would be sponsoring $50,000 to the Games to help with the numerous volunteers that are needed to make the event run.
We're a volunteer organization as well, the way we run ourselves. Our staff donated over 8,300 hours of their time last year, 38 hours per team member. It's something we think is important to make our communities grow. Second, the economic impact of these games is massive as well. There's going to be 5,000 people come into the city.
With this announcement, the Sask Games Volunteer Drive has begun, and registration to be a volunteer is now available on the Sask Games website. It also means they are one step closer to beginning, which has both organizers and the city very excited.
We're pumped. I mean, that's the best way to put it. We're really excited to see our community, as always, step up and put on such a good show.
We'd like to get people on board to join us for a great opportunity this summer in July to showcase Lloydminster.
If you're interested in volunteering, head to saskgames.ca and head to the volunteer section to register. Thomas Wildman, Primetime, Local News.
Joining with us today is Dr. Alice Wainwright-Stewart, the President and CEO of Lakeland College. How are you doing?
Very good, Leo.
So let's go straight to the question. With the recent announcement of the federal government capping the intake of the international students, what do you think about that?
Well, I would say for Alberta and probably Saskatchewan and Manitoba as well, that we haven't had as many international students. Now, there's different reasons for that. The biggest reason for Lakeland is that we've been very careful on making sure that we can be sustainable, as when we ask international students to come to Lakeland, we want to make sure that we have all of the pieces in place so that they can have a very good experience.
How many international students right now that is currently enrolled in Lakeland College?
Well, as of today, we have about 206 international students. And when we started down this journey of inviting international students to Lakeland, we looked at our region and said, at this point, we think about 300 will really be okay here at this region. We know that we are also looking at that because we're at 206 now. We do believe our region can take more. We are very aware of the job needs. And so Lakeland will do its part and make sure that we are providing housing, providing educational experiences for them, as well as making sure that they can have those part-time jobs that they need.
Will this changes or the announcement of the federal government going to affect Lakeland College in the future?
Well, right now we're waiting for two things for our government to do. One is to decide what are the caps for Alberta. We believe as system-wide that our caps probably they may be more than some of the East because we don't have as many international students. So we have to wait for the government to make those decisions. But the other piece of that is that the government also has to provide attestation letters. And that's where making sure the immigrant piece of it that's not part of the college, they have to have those letters before they come in. So yes, there is some caps, but we do know that for our international students, we want to make sure that they come over to Canada and have a very good experience. So they have identified a little higher expectation for the money that they have here. We too have had experiences with international students that may have not had as much money as they need to have a comfortable experience. So I think that will be okay. The special thing, again, is I think they're really trying to hone in on what are the needs of Alberta, get that, understand that before they make some decisions. So at this point, we're waiting for the government. We also do know there's a lot of information out there and there's a lot of maybe misinformation for international students. So international students that are watching this, remember, if you have been okayed before January 26th and you have all your papers in place, you don't need to worry. We as an institution will make sure that we provide as much detail as soon as the government comes out with our caps and with how they're going to issue attestation letters. We'll make sure that you have that information. So if you don't know or you're feeling uncomfortable, contact Lakeland and they'll provide you that information.
If further information or further details about the international student cap, what it will be the next step or what will be the next plan for Lakeland College?
Well, in terms of our plan is that we can go forward as we've planned. We have 206 students at present. We, in the last 5 years, have indicated that we know that our region can handle 300 students. So I think we're in a very good place. And I personally, as a member of the CI-CAN board, spoke with Minister Miller in the fall, and we talked about the rural areas a little different than what they're experiencing in the East. And I believe he's heard that, and I believe he's looked at Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba a little differently. And I think we're just awaiting, okay, what is that going to be? We do know nationwide that right now it's only Quebec that has the attestation letters. So everybody's trying to figure out how to go about and do that. So that will be the next step for us is, okay, once our students have their letters in place, it's business as usual for us.
Just a follow-up question for the people that wants to be an international student. What is the attestation letter?
That letter is a letter that is issued by the province. And without that letter, international students will not be able to get an okay to come to the institution. So it's very, very important. My understanding right now is that Alberta will be looking at how they're going to go about issuing those letters. We as a post-secondary institution have suggested making it as easy as possible. Utilize one of the systems we already have. We have a MindCred system. We have a few systems that we've suggested that they maybe use those systems to make it easy for the students.
Well, thank you so much for giving us the time and your thoughts about this current announcement from the federal government.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. And always, we love our international students that come to Lakeland. They provide a variety of experiences and a great opportunity for learning for everyone. So we look forward to having our international students and our domestic students to learn alongside each other.
Once again, thank you so much for giving us the time.
You're very welcome.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
I have a special guest today joining me on Primetime Local News. Chris Murphy is here. Chris, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Right on.
Well, we're going to talk about your latest project. People obviously will know you from Sloan, but let's talk about the Trans-Canada Highwaymen. This is really a Canadian iconic supergroup when you look at all the members. So tell me tell me how this came together.
Well, it's I like to include myself in this supergroup. Yeah, so I'm in it. Stephen Page, who formerly of Bare Naked Ladies, Mo Berg from Pursuit of Happiness, and Craig Northey from Odds. We're all kind of contemporaneous, kind of late 80s, early 90s guys, and we've known each other for a long time. And we started playing some shows in 2017. You know, just we play each other's songs. Each of us kind of brings 4 songs from our repertoire to a 16-song set that we would think of bangers or whatever. You know, I don't. Am I allowed to use bangers? Is that
absolutely?
Am I too old to use that word? I'm always asking myself that. So yeah, so we have this, you know, pretty great song. You know, we like to think that each of us has contributed to the Canadian songbook, however modestly. But the newest project we did, so this is called the Trans-Canada Highwaymen, which in itself is a joke on the Highwaymen, which would be like, who is it? Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson,
Waylon Jennings, yeah.
Waylon Jennings, and who, is there somebody else in there? Johnny Cash? No.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Anyway, yeah, so we did a couple of years of just doing that just for fun, just as a hobby. And so over the pandemic, we made this record called Explosive Hits Volume 1. And what it is it's a tip of the hat to all of to K-Tel Records out of Winnipeg and all of our favorite Canadian artists from the early 70s, actually technically late 60s and early 70s. So it's called Explosive Hits Volume 1, and it's I want to show off the fact that it's on vinyl. So there's Steven, that's me, that's Craig and Mo, and it's just done with this sort of like crazy, you know, K-Tel artwork. And of course it is on compact disc. You have to say compact disc and not CD because it's from the time when compact discs were new. Cassette, of course. And I'd love to tell you that it's on 8-track, but it is not. This is just a prop. My sister made me the sticker.
It's still great to bring back memories because most of the songs that you guys have on the Explosive Hits probably would have been on 8-track back then. So let's go through some of those, Chris. Like I was looking at the infomercial that you guys have posted, which is also great. And some of the songs you have chosen, like True Canadiana. How did you narrow it down?
Well, we just wanted to pick our favorite songs or what songs that we loved growing up, you know, because, you know, sometimes when people come to see the Highwaymen, our group, the Trans-Canada Highwaymen, it's a nostalgic trip. So it's like, so this is like sort of like nostalgia squared. It's like come for the nostalgia of seeing us, but then you get to see us be nostalgic for the stuff that we loved when we were kids. And so, you know, I picked a song by the Poppy Family called "Which Way You Goin', Billy," which was out of my range, but I took it down. I also sang a song by Michelle Pagliaro called "Lovin' You Ain't Easy," which is just a song I always loved. But I don't know, would you say that "Lovin' You Ain't Easy" was a regional hit? Was it a hit in?
No, I think it was all over Canadian radio, you know, and like even some of the other songs too, like there's, you know, Undone is on there, Yumi in Mexico. Like this is really, if you were growing up during that time, it's a Canadian playlist, especially with, you know, some of the CanCon rules for the 60s and 70s. And just going through that list, you just feel, it takes you back to your childhood. And it's a really great thing to be able to enjoy that music. So it must be so much fun for you guys to play it as well.
It is really fun. It's fun to, again, come see me for my songs, but also come see me have a good time playing not only songs I loved growing up, but also I also love playing I'm an Adult Now, which is a Pursuit of Happiness song. That song came out when I was in grade 12, so I have like a mini nostalgia for that. You know, he's a little bit older than me, but like he's contemporaneous, Mo Berg. But, you know, I get to play drums and sing on I'm an Adult Now every night, and it's really fun. The other thing I want to say is that I insisted that everyone cap their songs at 1975 so that we could call it Volume 1.
Right.
You know, if we get any traction from this, then, you know, we can make a Volume 2. And, you know, this one that goes from 1969 to 1975. But if we wanted to really parse it out, the next one could be 1975 to 1976, and then we could make 12 or 13 volumes. But I don't know if that'll happen.
Well, let's talk about the tour because you are coming through our area. You have dates in Regina, Saskatoon, and Edmonton. So when people come out to these shows, Chris, it's not only the stuff from the Explosive Hits Volume 1, but also we get to hear stuff from Sloan, Bare Naked Ladies, Pursuit of Happiness, and Odds as well.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll play, it used to be before we had these covers, we would start with someone who's cool by the Odds. We would end with, maybe Brian Wilson or something, and then our ending encore song would be I'm an Adult Now. And so we have these, it's a great opener, it's a great ender, it's a great encore ender. But now we have all of these other covers that we can throw in. So we get Stephen singing Undone, and we've only done the show with these songs in it. We've only done it one time. So we did Undone, and like people went crazy. Like he did such a good job. I mean, Burton Cummings is an all-time great singer, but Stephen Page is a belter as well. He's able to do it, and he's able to do those songs like "Rock Me Gently" by Andy Kim, or Paul Anka. We did a Paul Anka song. Oh, and I should also say Stephen wrote a song on this for this record, so it's all covers. But Stephen wrote a song called "The Theme" from the Trans-Canada Highwaymen, and it's kind of a story song that it's like an alleged backstory. It starts, right. Craig and I were on the road hoping our album would explode, but it didn't yet again. And so it kind of contextualizes us. But anyway, it's a really fun hang, and it's we always also joke that when we look at the set list, we all dread singing our own songs because we're so tired of them. So it's really fun to be able to play Jane, or The Old Apartment, or these songs that I haven't been playing for 25 years. So it's high novelty for me. And then when it comes to my song, I'm like, I guess I got to do this one.
Well, Chris, we're running out of time here, but it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And again, you're coming to Regina, Saskatoon, and Edmonton. The dates are on the website. Just search Trans-Canada Highwaymen, and you can find all that. And yeah, hopefully at some point you can make that 8-track available for mass purchase, because there are a lot of us that would love it, even though we don't have 8 tracks, just to have in our collection. So this is an amazing project. We look forward to seeing you when you're out here. Good luck with everything on the tour. And thank you so much for speaking to me today.
Right on, of course. Thank you. Have a good day.